everyone, welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive on the five dice game. It sounds kind of simple at first, right? You just roll some dice and try to hit a target number.
Yeah, it's five dice.
Five dice. But there's actually a surprising amount of strategy and brain power involved.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we're talking about flexing those math muscles, getting creative with problem solving.
Yeah, and you even get a little taste of algebraic thinking without even realizing it.
Exactly. And the best part is you don't have to be a math whiz to enjoy it. So for those who might not be familiar, let's break down how this whole five dice thing actually works.
Okay, so you roll five dice, you've got your five numbers staring back at you. Then you have to use all five of those numbers.
All five got to use them?
Every single one. And you can use any basic math operation you can think of. Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division.
Ooh, and parentheses too, right? I hear those can come in handy.
Absolutely. Parentheses are your friends in this game. And the goal is to combine those numbers and operations to get as close as possible to a predetermined target number.
So it's not like you're just trying to get the biggest number possible every time. There's some real strategy involved in figuring out the best way to reach that target.
Exactly. It's all about manipulation.
Yeah.
Let's say you roll a 6, a 5, a 4, a 1, and a 2. Now, you could just combine those digits as 65,412.
Which is a pretty impressive number on its own.
It is. But with a little strategic thinking, think about it this way. What if you were to multiply 6, the 5, and the 4? Let's see, 6 times 5 is
30, and 30 times 4 is
120.
Wow. Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Huh.
Same dice, but just by thinking about the numbers differently, you've created a much larger number to work with.
And that's just one possibility. There might be even more creative ways to combine those same five numbers to get closer to the target. That's the beauty of this game.
Okay, now that is exciting. It's like those brain teasers where you have to move just a few matches to completely change the equation.
Exactly.
But I'm guessing there's more to it than just aiming for the biggest number possible, right?
Right. It's not just about going big, although that can be fun. The real skill, the real meat of the game is in figuring out the most efficient path, the smartest combination of operations to reach that target number.
Okay, that makes sense. It's more nuanced than it appears at first glance.
Exactly. And you know what's interesting? There's very rarely one right answer in this game.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's actually one of the things that makes it such a valuable tool, not just for math skills, but for life, right?
I see what you mean. In real life, things aren't always so black and white. There's not always one right way to do something.
Precisely. And that's where five dice really shines.
Yeah.
It's not about finding the one right answer. It's about learning to be flexible, adapting your thinking, considering multiple possibilities.
It's like you're training your brain to think outside the box.
Exactly. Instead of seeing problems as these like insurmountable roadblocks,
Yeah.
you start to see them as puzzles, interesting puzzles that you can kind of unpack and explore different solutions to.
Okay, I'm starting to see why teachers love this game. It's like sneaky learning in disguise. Kids are having fun, but they're also developing these really valuable problem-solving skills without even realizing it.
It's true. And on top of all that, five dice is also amazing for developing mental math agility.
Okay, tell me more about that. I mean, let's be real. We live in a world of calculators and smartphones. Do we really need mental math skills anymore?
I would argue it's more important than ever.
Really? How so?
Well, think about it. You're at a shop, maybe a street market or something, and you want to haggle for a good price.
Yeah.
You don't want to be whipping out your phone to calculate every offer.
It just kills the vibe.
Exactly. Mental math keeps you sharp. It keeps you in the moment. You can make those quick decisions and adjustments without missing a beat.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And you know what? There's something kind of empowering about being able to do those calculations in your head.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, you're not relying on technology. You're using your own brain power, which, honestly, sometimes I feel like I need to be reminded of that. Like, my brain is still capable of doing things. It's funny you mentioned haggling, because I used to be terrible at it. My mind would just go blank as soon as someone threw out a number. I'd just agree to whatever they said because I couldn't do the math in my head.
And that's the beauty of five dice.
Yeah.
It's like you're training those mental muscles, getting comfortable with numbers so that you can handle those real-life situations with confidence.
Okay, I'm sold. Mental math is cool again.
It never went away.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk strategy. If I'm sitting down to a rousing game of five dice, what are some tips and tricks I can use to, dominate? Give me the inside scoop.
All right, well, one of the biggest things to remember is the power of place value.
Place value. Okay, break that down for me. What does that even mean in the context of this game?
So it's easy to get caught up in just seeing the individual digits, right? Like you roll a 6 and a 5, you see a 6 and a 5. But don't forget that you can combine those digits to create larger numbers.
65.
Exactly. Suddenly you've got a much more powerful building block for your equation.
It seems so obvious now that you say it, but I probably wouldn't have thought of that on my own. So it's not just about adding or subtracting those single digits. It's about thinking about how I can combine them to make bigger numbers.
Exactly. And another key strategy is mastering the art of parentheses.
Parentheses. Oh boy, are we getting into order of operations here? My old
That's
nemesis.
right. But don't worry, it's not as intimidating as it sounds. Think of parentheses as a way to control the order in which the calculations are performed.
Okay, so if I strategically group parts of my equation using parentheses, I can manipulate the outcome.
Exactly. Let's say, for instance, you roll a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6, and a 2, and your target number is 18.
Okay, I'm thinking.
Now, you might be tempted to just multiply that 6 and the 3 right off the bat, 18. But what if instead you use parentheses to group the 4 and the 5,
Okay, so 4 plus 5.
and then multiply that sum by 2? You get 18, but you've used up more of your dice.
That's brilliant. So those parentheses are like little secret weapons I can use to bend the numbers to my will.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. They give you that extra layer of control, which can be so helpful, especially as you get closer to your target number.
This is blowing my mind. I never realized how much strategy was involved in a simple dice game. But it's making me think about how I approach problems in other areas of my life.
I love that you're making those connections. And here's another strategy to consider: reverse engineering.
Reverse engineering. Is that like taking apart a toaster, see how it works, but with math?
You could say that. Basically, it means starting with the end in mind, that target number. Instead of randomly combining numbers, ask yourself, what needs to happen to get me close to that target? It's like planning your moves in reverse.
So it's less about frantically trying every combination and more about having a strategy, a game plan. I can get behind that. It's like instead of just throwing ingredients together, I'm actually following a recipe.
Exactly. And here's another tip that might surprise you. Don't underestimate those smaller numbers.
Really? I'd probably be tempted to just go for the big guns, like multiplying the highest numbers first.
It's a common instinct. But those smaller numbers can be your secret weapon for fine-tuning your equation. They can help you add or subtract those crucial few points to get as close as possible to the target.
It's like those tiny adjustments on a camera lens that make all the difference in getting the perfect shot. So we've talked a lot about individual strategies, but what about when you're playing 5 dice with a team? How does that change things?
Team play adds a whole new dimension. Not only do you have to come up with your own strategies, but you also have to communicate them clearly to your teammates.
Oh, I bet that's where it gets really interesting. Everyone has their own way of thinking, so I imagine there could be some hilarious aha moments, but also some, wait, what are you talking about? Moments.
Absolutely. It's like that classic saying, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. Team play in 5 dice forces you to articulate your thought process, which reinforces your understanding and often leads to those aha moments when you hear a teammate's perspective.
That's so true. I've definitely had those moments in meetings at work where someone explains something in a way I'd never even considered, and it totally changes my perspective.
Exactly. It highlights the power of collaboration. You're exposed to different problem-solving approaches that you might never have thought of on your own.
You know, this entire deep dive has been a fantastic reminder that there's always more than one way to approach a problem. We often get stuck in our own heads, thinking there's only one right solution, but 5 dice throws that notion right out the window. It's all about flexibility, creativity, and embracing those aha moments that come from thinking outside the box.
And the beauty of it is those skills, that mental agility, that collaborative spirit, those are things we can apply in all areas of our lives, not just when we're rolling dice.
So next time you're feeling stuck, whether it's a work challenge, a creative block, or even just trying to figure out the best route to avoid traffic, remember the lessons of 5 dice.
Yeah.
Embrace the possibilities, explore different approaches, and don't be afraid to get a little creative with your problem solving. Who knows? You might surprise yourself with what you come up with.